Well, hello students. This is your tutorial on how to search for and recognize scholarly sources for your papers. Okay, so first of all, before we get started, I'm going to take you over in just a second to my screen and show you how to go through the library's webpage and find sources via our databases. Okay, but first of all, let's talk about what a scholarly source is. Okay. First, let's start with what a scholarly source is not. Okay? A scholarly source is not one that some person or even some nonprofit or organization posted up on their website for just general information. Okay, a scholarly source is one that has been through what we call a peer review process, or at least is part of an academic publication of some sort. Now, the one exception to that would be where we're looking at, for instance, sources that are coming from government organizations like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or are coming from larger academic organizations such as the American Psychological Association or the National Council on Family Relations, as my students might be citing sources from them kind of frequently too, as well as the APA. So those are larger academic organizations, and even though they don't necessarily go through the same kind of peer review process as a journal article would go through, you also still have peers, academics within the field who are reviewing that information for accuracy, for validity, and it goes through a peer review process, even though it's not so much of a formal one that a journal article would go through. Okay, so some examples of sources that are not scholarly sources that I often see students citing. Psychology Today, for instance, and it looks scholarly, it looks great, and there really is good information up on Psychology Today, but it is not a source that goes through the same kind of vetting that other scholarly sources go through. Okay, so basically what they are doing is they usually are citing research and things like that, but they're not going through the same kind of validity checks. Okay, WebMD is another one. Wikipedia, any kind of online encyclopedia. All of those are not scholarly sources because they do not go through that peer review process. So let me give you a list of what is a scholarly source. Okay, first of all, journal articles. Okay, journal articles are articles that are either reporting on original research, okay, or they are summarizing the research on a certain topic. So what we call those are professional literature reviews, okay, where they are going and they are searching for every bit of research that has been done on a certain topic within, say, the last 10 years or something like that. Okay, so they are going to both be scholarly sources within, and both be called journal articles, even though they are two different things. One's original research and one is reporting on other people's research. They are both journal articles, and they're both scholarly because they go through a peer review process. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to search for those journal articles in just a little while. Scholarly books, edited books that, for instance, are ones that are a collection of articles on a very broad topic, or a collection of chapters on a very broad topic. So examples of scholarly books would be basically your textbook, just about in any class, unless it is what we would call a trade book, which is a little bit more of a popular book that you might find in a self-help section in a bookstore or something like that. But most of your textbooks are scholarly sources. And then any other edited book. For instance, I published in a book last year. Actually, it got published early this year. But anyway, it was an edited book on adolescent substance abuse and treatment. And so I wrote a chapter on evidence-based family treatment of adolescent substance abuse. And that was just a small topic within this broader topic of adolescent substance abuse and treatment. And so I just published one chapter in this larger work. Okay. So that also would be a scholarly source because it also goes through a peer review process. Okay. So textbooks, edited books on a topic, and then journal articles generally are what your scholarly sources are going to be. I also would consider, for instance, demographic surveys that are posted on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website, the APA website, other government sources as well. Those are scholarly because what's happening is they've got a team of researchers who are academic researchers who are going out and searching for this information. They even conduct studies of their own and publish them in journals. Okay? So those are scholarly sources too. But do not cite Wikipedia. Do not cite Psychology Today. Do not cite other web pages on child development and things like that, or family dynamics or parenthood or anything like that, parenting magazines and such. Those are not scholarly sources. Now, it might be okay within some contexts to go ahead and cite those sources, but in general, if you are being asked to cite scholarly sources or a certain number of scholarly sources, like I often do in my papers, you actually need to be getting the scholarly sources. You don't get to count certain web pages, Wikipedia, all of those kind of things in your number of scholarly sources. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and share my page with you, and we're going to pull up the screen. I'm going to pull up a new window. And oh wait, I didn't share, so there we go. All right, I've got this window up. I'm going to go to Cameron's webpage, okay, and then we are going to go to the faculty staff. I'm sorry, not I'm just zoning out here and getting distracted. Not faculty staff. I usually go to this is where I live on the Cameron webpage, by the way. But what we'll do is go to academics, the academics tab, and go to the library tab. Now, by the way, real quick before we move forward, Cameron University is about to redesign their webpage. So if I'm posting this video in future semesters, you're going to need to go and look at the webpage and find where all of these things are again. It's going to be different from this video, okay? In fact, that new web page rollout is going to be January 2020. I may re-record one of these videos to show you the new web page, but this video is still going to be the primary one that I use for showing sources because the library's actual web page is not going to look a whole lot different, okay? So you go to academics, go to library, okay? And then the best two places to look for your scholarly sources are going to be the library catalog, where you're going to be looking for books, okay? And then also the databases page, okay? So I'm going to show you the catalog real quick and where to go in that. So here you've got different search options. You can search by keyword, title, author, if you happen to know the author you're searching for. Subject, all of those kind of things. I'm just going to do a keyword search, and since I'm creating this video for my Psych of Early and Middle Childhood students, I'm going to put in child development as just a keyword search, okay, and see what it happens to pull up. All right. So here we've got some textbooks, for instance. You've got Child Development, A Practical Introduction, Child Development, Myths and Misunderstandings. They've got several textbooks in our stacks at the Cameron Library. You've got some on early childhood development in China. These are all good sources, okay, to be using. Now, when, for instance, in a certain set of papers that I have for my Psych of Early and Middle Childhood class, I'm asking you to cite at least 2 empirical journal articles, okay? Books do not count in empirical journal articles, okay? But they are still scholarly sources. So if your instructions are just to cite a certain number of scholarly sources, you can cite textbooks. But if your instructions are to cite empirical journal articles or empirical sources, books don't cut it, okay? So you'll have to go to the databases to do that kind of search. So I'm going to bring you to the databases search, okay? And what I'm going to do here is databases A to Z, just to make it really easy for us to find what we're looking for, okay? There are 2 database, or actually it's just one now, they've combined them, I forgot. So you've got this database right here, PsycArticles. This is going to be the best database for anything psychology, family studies, human growth and development, which is a division of psychology. Anything within the psychological, human sciences, PsycArticles is probably going to have what you need, okay? So I'm going to click on PsycArticles here, and it is going to bring up the EBSCOhost search page, okay? And you can do searches, once again, based on keywords. Is going to be your basic search. This will just be a keyword search. You can also put in the title of a source, and it'll bring up those that have the words in the title, and also keywords just anywhere in the abstract, for instance, on the page. Probably the best way to do what you're going to need is go to advanced search, okay, where you can change fields up here. So you can do a search that is specifically for title, okay? You can do a search that is specifically for author. You can do a search that's keyword, and you can specify within the fields. And then you can do multiple levels. So you can start out, for instance, with a keyword search. Let's do keywords, and we are going to put in, let's say, object permanence, okay? It's a cognitive development concept within human development, okay? So that's going to be our keyword. We're looking for any articles that have object permanence in anywhere in the citation, okay? And then let's just say I want to do an author, and well, actually, I'm going to change this. We're not going to do object permanence. We're going to do moral development, okay? This isn't going to be an early childhood and middle childhood concept. I mainly cover this in my adolescence and emerging adulthood class, but we're going to do moral development here as a keyword, and then we're going to do an author, Kohlberg. Maybe I am looking for an article or a book by Kohlberg, okay, who is the main purveyor of theory on moral development that we know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my search because I've got the keyword and author search, and here we are. I have some sources by Kohlberg, Lawrence Kohlberg. These are both journal articles, okay? So I can tell that by right here. We have the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, and then down here I've got the journal that's called Developmental Psychology, okay? So we've got our journal sources, and I've done a very specific search here. Play with your keywords. Play with your search terms. What I generally tell students to do when they are searching for their sources is you start out really broad, okay? Moral development, right? And then you get more specific from there. You start out really broad, cognitive development, and then get more specific with your keyword searches as you are needing specific information. If I am writing a paper on cognitive development, I'm going to have multiple topics, and one of those topics may be object permanence. So I'm going to search for cognitive development for my more general cognitive developmental theory information, for instance, and then I'm going to search object permanence for my more specific materials, okay? So we've got a journal article here, and you can click here just to go to the reference in the reference page in the database. If you're just wanting a really quick pull-up of the article itself, often you will see these links where you have a full text. You can just click on this right here, and it's going to bring up a full text version of that article, okay? So you can do that, or you just click on the title, and it's going to bring up their reference that has the abstract. You've also got the same link over here for full text, and you can do you can read, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted again. You can read the abstract over here if you're wanting to just get a quick check of, is this article what I'm looking for topic-wise, right? Rather than having to go and read the entire article. It's going to have the abstract right here and give you a good idea of what you're looking for there. Okay, now, so this is an empirical journal article. It is published in a journal. They are actually reporting, another way to tell if it's empirical is they are actually reporting on research, okay? So what we've got here, you can tell that they are reporting on research that they have done because well, actually, I'm sorry. This is a lit review. This is not, I thought it was because we have these numbers here. This is a lit review. So let's go, I'm going to go back. Yeah, this will be, yeah, okay. This is not actually a lit review. This is an analysis of somebody else's study. Okay, sometimes you'll see those kind of things. But let's go here. Okay, you can tell that this is an empirical journal article where they did their own research. Okay, because you're going to see little kind of keywords. The study evaluated the validity of a model. Okay, analysis showed this. Sometimes you'll see numbers in here. They'll actually give you some statistics in the abstract. Just the quick and dirty, here's what our finding was for this particular topic. And you'll see the statistical information there. But you can tell that it is a study because you have words that are indicating they conducted research with people. This isn't a lit review where they are reviewing the research of other people. And that's all the purpose is. They actually collected data from people, analyzed that data, and they're reporting on it. Okay? So when I say I want you to cite an empirical journal article, this is what I mean. Okay? Is that they have conducted research with people, analyzed that data, and they are reporting on it. Okay? All right, so you can see that there. Analysis showed internal consistency of the stages, okay? I want you to be able to tell what these sources are, okay? And that's why I'm covering this here. Okay, so if you have any questions, any more questions for me about how to search for empirical journal articles, how to search for other sources, I'm happy to help you with that. This is just a very quick, here is a good way to do this. One thing to note, as you are doing very broad searches in a database, you're going to come up with a whole lot of articles that don't apply to what you're looking at, okay? Try to find articles that really are relevant to your topic. You don't want to be citing a source that is not relevant to your topic because it's not going to help your case in your paper. Okay? So make sure that you are citing sources that really are relevant to what you're writing about. Okay? All right, well, that is going to be the end of this video, and I hope it has been helpful to you. And I am happy to talk with any of you about any of these topics, one-on-one, by email, whatever you need to happen. Thank you very much.